guys, welcome back to my channel. It is late October and I'm wearing a tank top because it has been 100 degrees for the past 3 days. All I want to do is like dress in cute sweaters and like boots, and yeah, that is like, it's nowhere near happening. It's been so hot. Anyway, it's been a while since I've done a sit down video, and if my voice sounds weird, it's because I'm sick and I'm trying to get over being sick. Anyway, today's video is actually a collab with my friend Lauren. She has a channel here on YouTube. It is called Free Indeed. She does her YouTube channel, and then she also runs a blog with her sister, and it's also called Free Indeed. So I will link that down below so you guys can go check that video out. She's doing a series that she's calling Thankful Thursdays, so she's letting me join her in doing that. She posted a video today as well, so when you guys finish watching this video, go check that one out. But anyway, today's video is going to be on thankfulness, and I'm going to be talking specifically about being thankful for God's faithfulness. So if you're interested in that and you want to hear some fun stories, then just keep watching. So the first story or situation that came to mind when I started thinking about doing this video was my freshman year of college. College for me, freshman year at least, was not a good experience. It was actually a terrible experience. So when I first started looking into going to colleges, I think it was the first school that I toured, and as soon as I walked onto that campus, I felt the Holy Spirit, and I just knew that like that was where I was supposed to go to school, and I didn't really want to look anywhere else, and I never ended up applying anywhere else. So like I knew for sure that like that's where God wanted me, and that's where I went. It's about 45 minutes to an hour away from me. They require that you live on campus, and I wasn't like that stoked about it, but I didn't really have a choice. So I moved into college, and I'm like a really shy person, and my roommate was a really shy person, and it was just not the best dynamic with us both being shy, and so we never just really hit it off. I would always avoid going to my room. I ended up, I don't want to use the word depression because I know that that carries a lot of weight, and I don't want to like belittle anyone else's experience with depression, but that is probably the closest I've ever been to depression, and hopefully the closest that I will ever be. So anyway, I ended up like losing 5 pounds in like the couple weeks that I was there, and I developed like social anxiety. Like I hated leaving my room, but I hated going back to my room because I didn't want to be in the awkward situation. It was just bad. I just looked forward to going home on the weekends, and I just dreaded school. So after about 6 weeks of this, I wanted to drop out of school. Like I was done. I wanted to go to cosmetology school, and I figured I could make a living like that, and like that was it. So what happened was my parents ended up letting me move back home. So I moved home, and after I moved home, it was a little bit better. I still like had a lot of anxiety, and I didn't like going to school, but I knew that God wanted me there for a reason. I know that when I first went there that I felt like I was supposed to be there. And honestly, during that time when I was thinking about quitting school, I was like not praying. I didn't want to talk to God about it because I knew that like he was gonna be like, no, you're supposed to be here, like I have you here for a reason. So I was just like, yeah, like God, thanks, like let's not talk about that right now. But God was faithful. After that first semester, I moved on to my second semester, and I got all my new classes, and I met a friend, and it was such a blessing. I don't know what I would have done if I did not like meet a friend. Like I literally had no one at school that I liked or like was comfortable talking to or even sitting next to. Like I was a loner at school. But he brought me this friend, and her name is Mallory. I don't even know if she knows that what a blessing she was in my life, and she still is. We're still friends. This was 2 years ago almost. Yeah, God was so faithful to me, and now I only have 9 classes left to take before I'm done with college. Moral of the story, God is faithful. He put that initial conviction in me when I first went to that school that I was supposed to go there, and he carried me through. He fulfilled his plan in me. I mean, I'm still not even done. I'm sure I'm gonna look back and see like so many more things that he did while I was in college, but he was faithful to me. He did not leave me. I'm so thankful that God was faithful. God brought me a friend, and I'm getting through it, guys. Second story. So the second thing that came to mind when I was thinking about God's faithfulness was, so I think I mentioned it in my Get to Know Me tag that I tore my ACL in high school. So let me just tell you about that experience. I never cheered before I went to high school, but I had a few friends that were on cheer in high school, so I was like, okay, like they don't have gymnastics in high school. I did gymnastics for like over 10 years, like 10 or 12 years. So I was like, okay, like cheer's like the most logical thing to do, I guess. Junior year comes around, and I got appointed captain. So I got appointed captain at the beginning of summer, and then by the end of summer, I tore my ACL, and I was devastated. Like, cheer was life, guys. Like, cheer was life. And I tore my ACL, and I was like, what am I going to do? And they told me I needed surgery and that I wasn't going to get back to cheer for 9 months, which is basically a death sentence in high school. Anyway, after I had my surgery, I was literally stuck in bed. I was in a wheelchair for like 2 weeks because I was so drugged up that I was so dizzy and I could not walk straight. Then I finally got to crutches, and I was on crutches for like 2 months after that. So, and my leg, meanwhile, is in a giant brace that was locked out straight. Like, I couldn't even bend my legs for the longest time. So I was stuck in bed. I couldn't do anything by myself. I couldn't get up and go to the bathroom by myself, and I was miserable. So I'm stuck in bed. My whole team is cheering. I can't cheer any games, can't go to any competitions. Like, I was just stuck. So my first day of physical therapy, I cannot lift my leg off the table. Anyway, needless to say, I felt very helpless, and I had no idea how I was going to go back to doing. Did I mention how I tore my ACL? Okay, I was at practice one night, and I was training to do a round of handspring full. If you don't know what that is, it is basically a backflip 360. So like, you're turning this way and you're turning this way. Like, you're just like flipping through the air like that. And one time when I was practicing it, I landed on one leg, and my knee just like imagine this is my leg. It just like I landed, and it just like bent that way, like the wrong way. It was pretty excruciating, the worst pain ever. Anyway, back to where I was in the story. So yeah, I was feeling extremely helpless. When I had to go back to tumbling, I was so scared, like terrified. But if you're catching on with the theme of this video, God was faithful, and he healed me. He gave me friends. A couple of my friends on cheer were just like so supportive and constantly helping me, and I just needed that support, and God was faithful. He put people around me that were supportive, and I finished cheering senior year, and I was doing all my tumbling that I needed to do, and yeah, so God was faithful. Okay, and my third story of God's faithfulness is going to be a interesting one. This whole story kind of ties into my whole testimony, so it's very long. There's so many details, and I'm gonna try and condense it into as short as possible and still make sense. So if you guys want to see a longer version of my whole testimony, let me know, and I will be happy to film that for you. But anyway, I'm gonna try and give you the short condensed version right now. So in high school, I was in a relationship with this boy. Let's call him Frank. From like 8th grade to like mid-senior year, we were like a thing. So Frank was not allowed to have a girlfriend until he was 18, and I was not allowed to have a boyfriend until I was 16, but I wasn't allowed to date him until he was 18 because that was his rule. So we weren't allowed to be together, but we were together anyway. Bad advice. Don't do that. That's just bad. Don't do that. So I didn't see him that much, and long story short, there was a lot of sneaking around and lying, and now looking back on it, I can say that it was an emotionally abusive relationship, and it was just like completely unhealthy. He was extremely manipulative, and it was not good. And there was no talking me out of this relationship, let me tell you, because my friends tried, my sister tried, my parents tried. Like, I was set on this relationship. So one night at church, Connor and I went to the same church, but we weren't like, we were friends, but like we weren't that close. One night he told me about this mission trip that he went on. So he was very animated when he was a teenager, and he was probably like 15 at this time. So this is Connor. Oh my gosh, like Mexico is so amazing, like you gotta come, like it's so cool, and like there's just so much transformation and blah blah blah. He was just like going crazy, right? Like I was like, wow, like that's so cool. And he's like, yeah, you should totally come. And I was like, okay. And this was totally out of character for me. Like I was such a homebody, so shy, and so the Holy Spirit was just like working in me. I was just like, yeah, I want to go, like sign me up. Fast forward a few months later, we go to Mexico. One night in Mexico, there was a church service, and at the end of the sermon there was an altar call. So basically the pastor was like, okay, like if you want prayer or anything, like come up, we'll pray for you. Meanwhile, I'm like totally thinking about Frank. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is so stressful. I feel so convicted, like, oh crap, like what am I gonna do? But I am like such a scaredy cat. I'm so shy, like that would have been so scary for me to do. But I look over just as Connor is like walking down the aisle and like going up to the altar, and I was like, I gotta go, this is it, I gotta go. And I went, and I got down on my knees, and I started praying about Frank and the whole situation. And I was like, I probably, honestly, in that state, I was probably praying like, God, like please just let this work out. Like why can't me and Frank just be together? Like please just make this work, come on. Mind you, up to this point, I knew that we weren't supposed to be together. Like, I knew. Basically was just like, yeah, well, God, this is what I'm doing, so can you please just like make this work? Like, I'm just gonna keep doing this until you like change your plan for me. Yeah, that's not how God works, and he was not about to change his plan for me because I was being disobedient. Anyway, the pastor came down and he was like praying over all of the different people that were kneeling in the front, and he came over and started praying over me in Spanish. So we had my pastor come translate, and all I remember is him saying, God, just help her to give that one last thing over to you. Help her to let go of that one piece of her life that she's not giving up yet. And I was like, so he finishes praying over me, and I'm like sobbing at this point. I was like totally heartbroken. I get up and I walk back to the back of the church, and for some reason, to this day, I do not know what I was thinking, because me and Connor were not that close. He was friends with Frank, and he kind of knew the whole situation, and that was not really a good relationship. So for some reason, I just like collapsed into his arms and I started bawling, and he just hugged me. Fast forward to 2 months later, and we're in like the most happy relationship ever. That was like 2 years ago at this point. But long story short, I got home, we broke up. Basically, I haven't talked to him or seen him since. And so that was like the most representative situation where God was so faithful, because literally all through high school, like 4 years, I was basically like ignoring God, ignoring the Holy Spirit conviction in my soul. That was like the one area that I was just like, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. And I completely like turned my back on God in that situation, and he never left me. And he was just unbelievably faithful to me when I was so faithless in him. He brought me Connor, and now I'm in like the happiest relationship ever, and like I have so much joy in my soul. I just feel like this is the best like time of my life. So that's kind of what led me to start this YouTube channel, because I'm like, this is just the best time of my life, and I want to document it, and I want to like have these memories to remember for myself and to just share. So I hope you just take this as a word of encouragement to know that God is going to be faithful to you, and he is being faithful to you in whatever situation you're in. All you need to do is like look up and like reach out for him. God will be there, and he will be faithful to you. And if you're in a situation where you know that God led you to, just know that like he's going to keep leading you through it, and he's not going to forsake you, and he is going to be faithful to you. So before I end this video, I just want to share this verse. It is Deuteronomy 7:9, and it says, know therefore that the Lord your God is God, the faithful God who keeps covenant and steadfast love with those who love him and keep his commandments. So I think the most important part of that verse is to know that like he has steadfast love and he's faithful to those who keep his commandments. Like you gotta like, you can't just like run away. Like he will still be there waiting for you, but like you gotta like come to him too. Like it's a two-way street. So those are my stories of when God was faithful to me. Leave a comment down below if you have a specific time that God was faithful to you, and I would love to read them. So like I said, this video is a collab with Lauren, and she is actually talking about being thankful for God's character. So if you liked this video and you like these type of videos, you will love Lauren's channel. So that is going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.